Plant Wars. It is not a science fiction movie. Every day, a silent, quiet battle takes place in our community. It takes place in woodlands, forests, roadsides, and in our own yards. It's a battle between invasive species of plants and native species. Invasive species can be harmful to the environment and to wildlife. Let's learn more. Let's go outside. Today we are in Fayetteville at the University of Arkansas Herbarium, and we're with Jennifer Ogle. She is the co-author of this book, which I use quite a bit. I'm a native of Louisiana, so I'm still learning a lot about Arkansas after 9 years of living here. But Jennifer, this book is fabulous. What inspired you to write this book?
This book needed to be done because our reference to that was quite old and not comprehensive. And so we were approached by the Ozark Society to rewrite a book on this topic, and I jumped at the opportunity so that we could promote the native flora, but also the non-native flora of the state and educate the public about what occurs in Arkansas. Sure. I'm a botanist, first and foremost, and I'm also the collections manager of the University of Arkansas Herbarium here on the University of Arkansas campus. I was here from 2003 to 2015 as both a student and a part-time researcher. And then we started work on this book while I was still here as both a student and then as a researcher. Then I came back in 2019 as the collections manager, so I've been here ever since.
What's the difference between an invasive, a non-native, and a native plant?
Okay, so a native plant is one that is occurring naturally in a given area. So whatever we define a given area as, Arkansas, Fayetteville, Bella Vista, whatever. So it's occurring without human intervention, but it was also here before widespread European settlement. So a non-native plant is one that is not native to the region under consideration. So it was brought here either on purpose or accidentally from somewhere else. So now, area under consideration, it could be from somewhere else in North America, it could be from another continent, which is more likely going to fit that definition. Now, an invasive plant fits that definition of a non-native, but it's a bully. It is causing harm in natural communities. So that's a very important part of that definition. It's not just that it was brought here from somewhere else. Nearly a quarter of our flora is introduced from somewhere else. Only about 5% of our flora is invasive. So they're doing something very special, very, very particular to cause harm. In Arkansas, we have about 162 species that are invasive of the flora, which is well over 3,500 species.
Invasives tend to be pretty.
Yeah.
People like them because they're pretty.
Yeah.
But surely there are native alternatives to those invasive plants.
Absolutely.
That are pretty as well.
Even prettier, I would argue, maybe. A lot of our invasives were brought here on purpose as landscaping plants, and so they are inherently pretty. They were selected from, Europe, Asia, South America in some cases because they were beautiful and because we thought they would do well under cultivation and people would buy them. But yeah, they are very beautiful. But we have many native plants, and this book is full of native plants that are just as beautiful or more, and also not harmful to the environment, beneficial to the environment. One of our goals for this book was to clearly show what is native and what's non-native so people could kind of quickly look through it and make decisions if they're looking for natives, make decisions about what is native and what is not native.
What are the most prevalent invasive species? Yes.
I have about 20 species that I focus on when I do public outreach and education about this topic. One that comes to mind, of course, is calorie pear, which is more commonly known as Bradford pear, but there are many cultivars of that species that have escaped from cultivation. So when it escapes, we call it calorie pear. Another big one is purple winter creeper, Euonymus fortunii. It's a ground cover, and it's ground cover, but when it hits a vertical surface, it can grow 65 feet tall and strangle a tree. Nandina is another one, heavenly bamboo. It's another invasive species. Of course, the one that we consider to be the worst invasive woody shrub in the entire southeastern United States is Chinese privet. In the southeastern U.S., that's certainly true. But in Fayetteville and increasingly in northwest Arkansas, I think the worst shrub, invasive shrub, is bush honeysuckle, Lonicera macchii, by far. If you walk down our trails or any public spaces, that's the shrub you're going to encounter. Japanese honeysuckle, mimosa, tree of heaven, kudzu, so many.
Kudzu, yes.
Kudzu, yeah.
So a tree like mimosa, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Birds, insects, all sorts of things seem to like that mimosa tree.
Yeah.
But why is it bad?
Because it fits that definition of causing harm in natural communities. So it will displace native species of plants. And it has demonstrated that capability here and elsewhere to really outcompete native plants and displace them. And so what that means, yes, some things do eat it, some things do use it, but it's displacing things that are more useful and more important to our native flora, or to our native fauna, I should say, to the insects and birds that might use it. Right, and then there's also a problem for homeowners who want to protect their foundations. Those trees tend to grow in foundational places too and cause trouble there. When they are allowed to grow like a weed and grow wherever they want. They seem to like those cracks and crevices, yeah.
What are your feelings about wisteria?
Which one? We have a beautiful native wisteria. I love it so much.
We have a beautiful native wisteria.
We do. It's beautiful. And it looks, for me, it's more beautiful than the non-native ones, the two invasives that we have. So wisteria, okay, let's talk about the non-natives. They have displayed a tendency to be invasive, which means, they'll not only, you plant it and it will grow so fast, it will cover your arbor and your gazebo and provide shade so fast. But it will also be eaten by birds, it will root, it will keep growing, and it will grow into a forest edge and cover a tree. And slowly, slowly, slowly kill that forest and beat back that forest.
Oh, gosh.
Not quite as severely as kudzu. We've seen kudzu eat entire forests and cover houses and cars. Wisteria isn't quite that bad, but it does have a tendency to escape from where we've planted it and become invasive along edges of forests. We have one native wisteria called American wisteria, and it is just it is also a vine, and it has those beautiful purple flowers that grow in these pendulous racemes, but it's just not aggressive, and it will cover an arbor or a gazebo, grow a little bit slower, and it's just lovely. It's a lovely plant.
It sounds great.
Yeah, and it looks almost identical in a lot of ways to the non-native.
We're here today with Chris Hyatt with the City of Bella Vista, and you are the senior planner,
Correct.
city planner for Bella Vista. And you are very passionate about trees and invasive species and native species. And you're a member of the tree board.
Correct.
What does the tree board do?
Yeah, so they have a few different roles. Primarily they're there to help us organize our spring and fall giveaways. We also plant additional trees through what's called the Foresting the Future program. And so last fall, we planted 100 trees throughout the city. And so they help guide us both to educate, but then also, are there areas within the city that need to be addressed through new plantings.
Do you encourage removal of Bradford pears?
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a big topic over the last year. Really, how can we dive more into the education side of it? Bradford pear is the big one. Japanese honeysuckle, privet, we see a lot of. And so calling out those species, we have a lot of people moving here. There's going to be drawbacks. And so how can we best address that and have thoughtful growth while maintaining our forested area? And so it's kind of the passion is there to keep our identity, especially in Bella Vista. We're so heavily forested. We stand out from the other cities around us in Northwest Arkansas. So we don't want that to change.
So you had a tree giveaway. And what kind of trees were involved in that?
Redbuds, dogwoods. We usually get a variety of oaks. We had southern magnolia this past time, white fringe tree, yellowwood. So a lot of options, big and small.
Sure.
So
where do these come from, these trees?
Yeah, it's through the grant, through the Walton
grant.
Foundation program and their Foresting the Future program.
Yep.
So
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Very
you.
informative, and so appreciate the work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to be here.
Arkansas is the natural state, and we need to do all we can to keep it that way by taking care of native plants, native vegetation, and the removal, if possible, of invasive species. We may not get all of them, but every little bit is going to help. Today we're here with Colleen in Bella Vista. How long have you been in Bella Vista?
So we moved here about 2.5 years ago. It was late October of 2023, I believe.
And you have been diligently working in your garden since then.
Yes! Oh my gosh, when we moved here, we just had, well, if you remember that long ago, when we were moving in, it was raining torrentially in that fall. So all our seed that we had in our backyard was being washed away, so we didn't really have any grass seed growing. And they only sodded up towards the front. So that's all we had to deal with.
You've added quite a bit. Is just about everything native?
Not everything's native, and I feel like that's okay. It's okay to have a mix between, annuals and native plants. The important thing is to focus on having food available for different pollinators. And I do have milkweed. I have 3 milkweeds. We did successfully have some monarchs on our milkweed last spring. We got to watch the whole step. My son is 4, so we got to watch the whole step from little eggs all the way to pupating, all the way to finally breaking out of the pupa or chrysalis and flying away.
Wow.
So it's magical. It was magical.
Apparently so. Oh my goodness. Now you're involved with Master Gardeners and Bella Vista Garden Club and all.
Yes.
There is an initiative that's been in place for a while. But tell us about that initiative and its relation to native plants.
Yes, so we are starting a new organization, if you will, that is called Grow Native Bella Vista, and it is going to be focusing on beautifying Bella Vista, but also educating and collaborating with different organizations that we have, the Master Naturalists, the Master Gardeners, the Bella Vista Garden Club, and just invite everybody in the community and working with the city to get everyone on board to start planting native, because it's easier to maintain native plants. You don't have to water them as much. They're acclimated to this area and they live in that soil, the clay soil. It's just hard to keep up some of these plants when you have to dig them out and put compost and mix it all up and hope that that clay doesn't take back over.
And native plants are used to rocks and they like rocks.
Yes, they are. I mean, I have a few of them right now. This is a fresh garden here, so they're looking a little rough, but they're actually going to be drought tolerant come this fall and next year when the sun starts hitting in the later summer area.
So what are some resources for someone who moves to Bella Vista and wants to consider native plants?
So we are going to start educating with plant this, not that. I am one of those people who likes to plant something that looks nice and then realize that's the wrong thing. So I'm getting into the habit of learning what is a native plant and what isn't a native plant.
But dogwoods, redbuds, things like that, you think would be a good idea instead of something like that?
And I have dogwoods that grow naturally in the woods around us. So I get to see all of the different natural trees that we have growing here already in Bella Vista.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So enjoying looking at your garden and your hostas and everything. You've got some great plants that you're doing here as well. I know it's a work in progress.
It is a work in progress. It looks terrible for a while. You have to have the patience, but in the end, you get to see all the beauty that comes after that.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're at Tanyard Creek Nature Trail in Bella Vista. Unfortunately, this trail is a wonderful place to look at invasive species. There are natives here as well, but invasives are fighting for their space over the native plants. We're going to focus a little bit today on a variety of invasives, but you may not even know you have any in your yard or your property, but they're probably there. So let's go outside and we'll find out more.
All right, so this Carol, is burning bush, Euonymus elatus, another euonymus. There's several members of that genus that are invasive in this region. Unfortunately, fortunately, we have a couple native ones too. Unfortunately, they share common names. And so this highlights the need to understand scientific names so that we can tell things apart when we're shopping for plants. So this is the invasive burning bush from Asia, brought here over 100 years ago for ornamental purposes. As many of our woody invasives were brought for ornament, this thing has what we call opposite leaf arrangement. So at each node you have two leaves coming out, one on either side, and that's called opposite. It has, I don't want to say anything nice about it, it has beautiful flowers, these beautiful creamy yellow and green flowers. You'll see ants all over them. Ants are one of the pollinators of this group. But notable in how we tell this plant from other members, the native members of this genus, is the stems have these broad wings on them. And on older growth you can see it. On newer growth you won't see it so much, but on this older growth, a couple years old, you'll see these wings coming out, these corky wings. Also the stems are green here. And this plant is called burning bush because in the fall it turns a brilliant scarlet red. And in 2014, when the city of Fayetteville was working on their invasive plants ordinance, I worked on that with them. I requested that we add this plant to the list because I naively thought, we could get ahead of the infestation, we could dispatch the few populations that were escaped from cultivation, and we'd be done with this invasive plant in Northwest Arkansas. And then I started seeing it in the wild more and more and more, just after we added it to the list. Tanyard Creek is one of the places that has a huge infestation of it. We're in a riparian forest here, rich woods, kind of moist soils, a certain assemblage of plants, and this plant loves that type of habitat, so it has really infested this area. And in some places up in the streams where the springs originate, you'll see just dense stands and almost nothing else but this burning bush. And you can't mistake it for anything else in the fall because it turns that brilliant red. There is another euonymus that grows on this property. It's called wahoo, also called burning bush. This thing is also called wahoo. Oh my gosh, common names. And so how we can tell this apart is the leaves of our native wahoo, which is Euonymus atropurpureus, has larger leaves. And in the spring, you can tell it apart by the flowers. The flowers of this are obviously a very light color. Our native wahoo has these like maroon colored, merlot colored, reddish flowers. So very, very different. And in the fall, the native wahoo has larger capsules, larger fruits. They're smooth, but they're much larger than these. No. So here we're standing next to an infestation of purple winter creeper, and the scientific name is Euonymus fortunii. So all of this green vine on the ground is purple winter creeper, and very thick here, and you can see it going all down the trail. And then of course, it's climbing up this elm tree as well. So, and high into it's making its way pretty high. And then behind us, we have a very large chinkapin oak growing. And this is a fabulous tree, beautiful, one of my favorite, and it's in the white oak group. And it is being taken over also by purple winter creeper. And you might think, well, these trees, there's no way a little vine can outcompete a tree. But in the case of this vine, they can. A tree this size is really no match for an invasive purple winter creeper. When you buy this at the nursery, and it's still for sale at nurseries, the tag will say ground cover, which everybody's looking for a ground cover, and it will say grows 8 inches tall. And that's true. It gets about 8 inches tall. You can see that here. But when it hits a vertical surface, and what the tag doesn't tell you, when it hits a vertical surface, it can grow 65 feet tall. And the stems can be this big around, 6 to 8 inches around. And so when enough stems do that, it can absolutely drag a tree down, a native tree. And even on the ground, I can see that this is the dominant species, and there are little native plants trying to grow here, like lopseed. There's a walnut tree trying to come up through it. And there's not much else. This is the dominant plant in the landscape. So it has displaced natives all down this slope. We can see it happening here. Also, I want to point out what else it's competing with. It's native. We have a spice bush, a native shrub that grows in these habitats naturally that supports the spice bush swallowtail caterpillar.
Right.
We have a viburnum, a native viburnum that is growing right here. Beautiful. That's probably rusty black haw. And then we have bladdernut, another shrub or very small tree that is common in these woods that is being displaced by invasives such as this purple winter creeper. Right, so here we are, Carol. We're closer to Lancashire Boulevard, so we're hearing the road noise. You may also hear the creek right here. There's a creek, and then also the spring run coming down from the bluff nearby. What I want to point out here is just how completely enveloped we are, surrounded by this invasive called burning bush. And then down below us we have periwinkle, this Vinca major. So here's the burning bush behind you, in front of us, kind of coming over. Oh, and a privet. Okay, now we've got privet. Okay, I want to emphasize that all of these plants are still available in nurseries and garden centers.
Really?
And they're popular.
Oh my.
Some of them have fallen out of favor by landscape designers and landscape architects, but the general public still really loves these shrubs. And it's not that we're trying to find these shrubs in nurseries. It's when we go to the nursery, it's what we see. And we're told it's beautiful, and we're told it's hardy and pest-free. That's one of the selling points of an ornamental. It's pest-free. That's also what makes a lot of our ornamentals invasive, is that when we brought them here, they went under a heavy quarantine process, and the pests that keep them in check in their native homes are no longer there. So here they're free to grow unchecked. It's called the enemy release hypothesis. And I really like that hypothesis to explain why certain things are invasive.
So they have no native enemies.
Correct.
To keep them in check.
And enemies in this case are good, right? When they're gone, these guys can just do whatever they want. Of the 235 invasive woody plants, so shrubs, trees, and woody vines in the United States, something like 85% of those were brought here through the landscape trade. And so most of those went through that quarantine process where we eliminated all the bacteria, the fungi, and the insects that might keep them in check. And so that's a really good hypothesis to explain why some are so invasive. And there are alternatives. The good news is we don't have to put up with this. When we go to the nursery and we see burning bush, we don't have to buy that. We have alternatives. We have nurseries that specialize in native plants. We have nurseries that only sell native plants. And even at big box stores, sometimes you can find a non-invasive alternative there. And it really has to do with arming yourself with knowledge before you go to buy the plants. You have to know and write it down or record it somewhere, that the scientific name of the plant, to make sure you're getting the thing you intend to buy. You can simply Google things and say the name of the plant followed by the word invasive and see what comes back. And that often will tell you if a plant is invasive or not. And that's what I often do if I encounter a new thing. I'll just ask Google if it's invasive and it will tell me. All right. So directly in front of us and behind us, we have members of this riparian forest. We have elm trees, box elder trees, we have walnuts, hackberries, white ash growing in this forest, and of course chinkapin oak. So it is a somewhat mature forest with a healthy regeneration too, but we have some large members of the forest here. And you might already know that a shrub this big or a vine this big, Japanese honeysuckle and burning bush, cannot outcompete a mature tree. And that's the case with most invasives. They're not going to outcompete a mature tree. However, when that tree drops a seed, a walnut drops the nut, it's going to try to germinate underneath this dense canopy that's shading from the sun. And that tree will germinate, the walnut will germinate. It'll get about that big, and then it will sit there and do nothing else. In the meantime, this big walnut behind me is still continuing to grow, live its life, and it will eventually die. And so once that happens, if there are no walnuts coming up after it, and eventually that seedling that's in this dense shade will die too, this forest will die. The forest as we see it will die, and it will be replaced by only more invasives. So I'm not exaggerating when I say, and I tell everybody this when I give talks, you are witnessing the death of a forest when you see infestations this heavy in a forest. There's no way our native flora, including trees, the babies, can outcompete these plants.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're here at Rockwell Farms with Mr. Josiah, and I had previously sent him a photo of my front flower bed area, which had Nandina in it, which is an invasive species. So I sent Josiah this photograph, and Josiah is going to help me determine what to replace those Nandinas with.
Absolutely. So I got a chance to go over your photos that you sent me, and I think rather than doing like because I know you want to go native and have native roots, and I think rather than doing a smorgasbord of different natives like a lot of people do, you don't want to sample a garden, I think if we just kept it a little bit more basic, clean, and still fun and have some color in there, I think that would be the best route to go.
Perfect.
So what I have in mind is in the back by your stone wall is doing some Hett's Midget Arborvitae. So Hett's Midget Arborvitae occidentalis means red western cedar. And so it has native, but it is an improved variety. You're okay with improved varieties. And so I think that would be a great backdrop to have something evergreen. Now the problem that we were facing is that this doesn't get a whole lot of sun in that area. It does get a few hours of some sun and maybe some dappled shade, but mostly the rest of the day it's going to be kind of shaded out.
Right.
And so now your arborvitae can grow in shade. It'll grow a little bit slower, but it still grows really well in shade. And then I was thinking also coral bells, or known as heuchera or heuchera, however you want to pronounce it, to give you some of that color in the shade as a backdrop, and then you get some flower. Do you want to go check these out?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go. All right up here to the left here, these little guys. Now these guys are a little smaller. I think we'll get something a little bit more established out there when we plant. But this is the Hett's Midget Arborvitae. So Arborvitae occidentalis is red western cedar from here, the west. And so this is an improved variety, and it's basically bred to stay a little bit smaller because you don't want something in the area that's going to get 70 foot tall.
Right.
Now
right.
this guy's going to grow around 3 foot tall, 3 foot wide. And you have some native roots that'll take root in that flower bed. I think this would be a good choice to have kind of an evergreen backdrop.
Oh, right.
Sound
right.
good?
It does.
Let's go show
Sounds
you the
excellent.
coral bells. All right. Coral bells, or heuchera, heuchera, however you want to say it or feel like it, I'll accept it, okay? This has native roots as well, and then they're bred in improved varieties, so that way you get different color, you get different blooms. And I think what we can do is we can actually mix these up to give you a little bit of variation and some different colors. So
I like that.
right here we have kind of that darker leaf, and then these do throw on a plume, kind of a bloom that goes up from that. And then we've also got more of that red color right here. You like this one?
I do.
Is that a good one?
It is.
Okay. And then we've also got, it's a little bit more of a peachy color, but I think this will give you tons of color in front of that green backdrop that we're doing. And then you have the stone wall behind it. So I think this will also pull some of that color out of that stone wall behind it.
Perfect. I
All
like
right.
it a lot.
I think that's what we'll do. Now your walkway. That you show in the picture, it's a little bit slim and there's not a lot of room in that flower bed. So I think what we might do, if you're okay with it, is bring that flower bed out and bring that walkway out a little bit farther. Right now you've got some round pavers and some rock and some metal edging. How do you feel about us switching out the metal edging for some native chopstone? It's kind of a nice chopstone border edging.
Right.
And then we can do that, we can make that kind of semi-permanent and do a dry pour is what we call it. So that way it doesn't move over the years or freeze and thaw. Doesn't move that stone out. And then I think if we maybe put some flagstone for that path and some gravel in between it, and maybe even come back and glue that gravel down for you so it's not going all over.
That'd be wonderful.
Sounds good?
Yeah, I can see that. It would enhance the nature area to start with, and give these plants a nice
Yeah.
place to be.
Sometimes you think
Yeah.
about native, you don't think about native stone and stuff like that, inanimate objects as
Exactly.
much either, but
I am all
think
for
that'll
it. I
push
like
up
it.
the vibe for you.
Yes, indeed.
Sound
Thank
good?
you. That's
Yeah.
great.
All right, well, let's get it done for you.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Okay.
I'm so thrilled that Josiah of Rockwell Farms is able and willing to help me replace those terrible invasive nandinas with some native to Arkansas plants. I can't wait to see the end result, and I'm so grateful to Josiah and Rockwell Farms for being able to come and help me accomplish something I've wanted to do for years. So we will see you at my house. We have provided a lot of information and resources for you to use to help you make good decisions about what to plant and what to remove from your yard. Use these resources and make good choices, my friends.